is another episode of Going Fishing with Brett Raymer from Tanked. Brett, I believe this is episode number 19, my man. How you feeling?
Feeling good, bro. Close to 20. I love it. That's awesome. They say, after you do things like 16, I think it's 16 days in a row or 16 times or more, it becomes a habit.
So we've reached that.
Hey, look who it is.
Yay! I made it.
You did.
Well, this is gonna be, the timing is right for because baseball season just kicked off. So tonight we're going to review season 8, episode number 2. This was the Pete Rose build that you guys did. Pretty exciting build. The episode aired September 26, 2014. And the episode starts off, by the way, with Brett's dad, the general, walking Pete Rose into ATM. Was that a setup or was your dad really buddies with Pete Rose?
So my dad was buddies with Pete Rose's manager.
Correct.
And that's kind of how the whole thing swung along. This guy, Mike, my dad became friends with Mike. And then that's how the whole Pete Rose thing happened through my dad and through the guy, Mike.
So that was the connection. I want to go back. Let's go back and just paint the picture a little bit more. So according to Wikipedia, the ratings on this Pete Rose one were 0.75 million viewers. And this is coming off, you had that monster opening show of the season, the Shaquille O'Neal episode, which had a 0.88 ratings. So, I mean, you guys are starting off. This season 8 is starting off strong, you guys.
Yeah, it definitely was. That was somebody calling me to tell me how great season 8 was. But no, seriously, it was a great start to the season. Anytime you get a chance to start off with two iconic athletes like Shaquille O'Neal and Pete Rose, to start a season and go back to back like that, that's just number one. It's amazing for me as a sports fan, being able to meet somebody as iconic, and no one's ever going to duplicate what Pete Rose did. I mean, that's just a record that is going to be hard to really break, maybe ever. I mean, that's just unbelievable, especially in today's day and age with the pitchers getting better and better as time goes on. But, Shaquille O'Neal first, Pete Rose second. I mean, what a lineup. So, I mean, of course, the show is going to start off on fire.
How were you guys promoting the shows every week back then? Were you doing radio tours, local news tours? How were you out promoting the show?
There was multiple ways, obviously social media was Facebook was like the king of social media back then. It had just been getting started, and we had Facebook pages and we would go through Facebook. But you have to remember, we had a network that owns 8 networks, right? They own ID, they own Discovery, they own, Animal Planet, they own Kids, they own all of the smaller networks underneath them. So they cross-promoted commercials through each network so you'd see a commercial on Discovery going, check out Tank on Animal Planet, channel 2, blah, 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 whatever it is, So they would do a lot of cross commercials, a lot of cross promoting, and then they would make us do a lot of segments, like me and Agnes. They would, and Wade and Heather and my dad, they would make us go into green screens and, do little bits and pieces that they would let out and promote, throughout different shows.
Okay. I got a question about the previews before the show, because before the show even starts, they start off showing it's Pete Rose's build. They start off showing the stresses of the build. This is all in the previews before the show starts. I'm watching it as a fan, like, oh, it's Pete Rose. Oh, his wife is mad. They're not going to like the tank. Oh, there's an issue with the other build that they're doing in South Carolina. But then in the previews, you kind of see the reveal. And so I kind of know, like, oh, Pete Rose's fiance is going to be cool with the whole thing. Did you ever catch that? Why did they set the previews up that way? And why not end it after, leave us hanging with Pete Rose's fiance is mad about this build? It grabs me as a viewer, but now I see, she's eventually going to be cool with it, and they do an amazing build.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Agnes.
Because Kiana wanted it to look, a particular way, and she I would be the same way. I'd be like, I want it very detailed. I want it to look good. So she was very particular about how she wanted it, and at the end, she was very impressed with it, and it turned out amazing.
But they didn't leave you hanging, like JC was saying, they could have made it where it was more like nail biting. Like, did she really, like it or not like it, But at the end of the day, she was a tough cookie, And like I said, once again, we didn't have any say in what went on with the previews. All of that was done through the network and through Animal Planet. So whatever previews came out, that was approved by the network.
Right.
Because there was even in this episode too, where you guys get out there to install the tank, and she's like, "I don't want it in the house," and you go to break, and then it's like coming up next. You see them all happy. It's like it was like the producer in me is like, you had me wanting to stick to the break and watch.
Yeah.
She seems mad, but then you also just tease that no, she's not going to be mad.
No, I agree with you.
I love the producer in JC. I love it.
I mean, and what's crazy is during the time that we were on the show, obviously it was 9 seasons. We had a variety of different producers in the early stages. As the show got better and better, we still had, people that were injected into the show, and a couple of people that got pregnant, that had to leave, had kids, or this or that happened, or, someone was moving and, they had to leave, or just whatever. But we had pretty much the core group, after a certain season. And then prior to that, it was like different people every year.
Mm.
Yes. Oh, well,
So
yeah.
Yes. You get different minds, like Nancy Glass, the owner, and some of her people back in the editing room. A lot of the producers and executive producers were the same, but I believe the on-site producers changed, as time went on, and then eventually we got a group that decided to stay on the show for a while.
Steady crew, yes.
We learned that I was just talking about Pete's wife is not a fan of fish tanks. How common was it for you guys to get somewhere and either the wife wanted one thing and the husband wanted another thing, and they start bickering right in front of you? Was that a common deal for you guys?
Well, there was one, I remember this. Remember, Brett, at the end, you said, "Hey, do you smell anything?"
Yeah.
Remember that? Because he didn't like the smell of
They didn't want
fish.
no smell. They were very worried about the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every customer is very particular of their wants and needs. So if you had a tank, JC, like what would your tank look like? What would your wife Laura, like, what would she want in it?
Horses.
We almost did. The funny thing is we almost did a tank.
And that photo, JC, with you hugging your horse, honestly.
Oh,
seriously.
yeah. Thank you.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Very Yellowstone-ish.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, John Dutton right here.
Yeah, right there. There you go. So we almost built a horse track for a race, an actual place where they race horses, and like Pimlico, one of the big ones. And we did a rendering of it. It never came through, but we almost did a big horse tank with an actual. We were going to do like these mini horses, like remember the Barbie horses?
Yeah.
We
Yes, where you comb their hair.
Yeah, and we were going to make little miniature ones like that, and put them, cast them, and put them inside the aquarium with an actual track. But it never panned out.
We'll make one for JC.
Yeah, when the show comes back, you can do the builds.
That's right.
Here.
There you go. The thing
Right
is people do bicker. Clients have bickered, not so much on camera, but off camera. They've had some bickering before. Different sets of couples. They've bickered, whether it's with outside of the show, meaning they've had a couple of arguments here and there.
Yeah, just like, because when you're a couple, you have to decide together what you want.
Yeah.
You're looking at it. And also when you have children, the children want to have their own piece in it too.
No doubt, for sure.
Well, speaking of kids, Brett, your son, was he really sick and had tonsillitis? Was this or just kind of a storyline to get Heather and Wade?
No, he had tonsillitis. Yeah, he was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was legit. You stepping out and Heather and Wade covering things in South Carolina. That was all real.
Yeah, that was real. He was sick. He was sick. I had some other things going on. Like that was just one of my things that I had. I just couldn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
Would producers look for ways to put Heather and Wade like in situations like that? Because it was very honeymoonerish when they're there traveling, they're fishing, and Wade scares her, pretending there's a snake in the water. Then he's splashing her like any other wife. She gets mad. My wife would get mad if I did the same thing. Very honeymoonerish when I watch it. Would they try to put them in those kind of situations?
Oh, it was all acting, but it was good.
No, not always acting.
It was acting.
No, because some of them were real, like pranks that they pulled on each other. They some of them were.
That's just because they loved each other so much they pulled those pranks.
They did.
Well,
I'm just saying, honestly,
she looked very mad in this one.
It was okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 6.5.
My favorite line on that, because I was rewatching it. My favorite line was, how Wade is really bad with sports, And you said it's a grand slam.
Yeah, he has a touchdown.
It's a touchdown, and you go grand slams only at Denny.
He's terrible, dude. He is literally terrible. Yeah, grand slam breakfast. Yeah, I know. He said that he's just.
I love it. I love it. I want Wade to come on this podcast. Wade, come on the podcast.
I
Well,
probably
yeah,
wrote that.
that's
I probably
good
wrote
pay-per-view.
I probably wrote that line for him. You know that,
Okay.
Agnes. I used to be like, yo, dude, say that. I'm gonna say this. You say this.
I
But
know.
remember, there's one episode where he had a great line, but he fumbled the words through it, and like it was a great slam on you, Brett. But whatever it was, he fumbled over the words, and like you know what he was trying to say, but the words came out wrong, and you're like, dude, you can't even say it right. And you just
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about, GC. So they're literally called Wadeisms. There's a whole episode.
You
on
can
just-
pull them up. You can pull them up on there's an actual episode. If you look it up, and they have all of the Wadeisms in the episode.
where
That's great.
he says words.
He
in
makes his own words up. He makes his own words up.
Yeah, I love
It's
it.
hysterical, bro. It's hysterical.
Funny.
In this episode, you and your dad have a nice touching moment at Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen, a sponsor of this episode. Was that a paid spot right there?
Yeah, Animal Planet got paid. I ain't got nothing. I got maybe a free cone with a side of sprinkles.
But they don't have to say that the following portion of Tanks has been paid for by Dairy Queen, or is there
Nope.
a tag at the end of the episode saying
Oh,
that?
it's called a product placement.
Right.
I mean, you
in
guys
the
were in Dairy Queen for almost 5 minutes. It was a long time inside Dairy Queen.
Yeah. It was basically we were there for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
To do that, you have to shoot it 50 times, product pictures, segments. They have to shoot each individual hand, moving to your lips, just everything. You got to just shoot everything. And then you got to shoot walking in, walking out, this, that, saying goodbye, this, the moment. I used to hate it because I didn't make any money. I was pissed. I was like, I got to go to fucking Dairy, excuse my language. I got to go to Dairy Queen and I got to film all this and I'm not making $1.
Yeah, you would think you guys would get paid on that endorsement.
Now, I
piece.
got paid on some commercials where we did commercials like for Geico. I did a couple and Toyota. I got paid for those. But when we did a product placement where it's like the product was inside, and you've seen like FedEx, you've seen a few of them, right?
Yeah.
Nada.
Wasn't there a Walmart one, or was that coming? They were a sponsor.
No Walmart. Even in the FedEx, we didn't even get a discount shipping. Nothing.
Do you know that? Did you hear that Pete Rose sold the tank? It was sold in an auction in 2018. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That was a fun tank with
Did they
all
re-
the- I like the fish we put in there, the bat fish, the raccoon fish. Remember those?
Yeah. I heard the tank was sold. It was out there. I saw it I think I saw it. Somebody like tagged me in a post. Yeah. People asked me what I thought about it. I said, I don't know. Pete Rose must have struck out in the fish game.
We
What's
see
Pete
this
Rose-
episode.
What's Pete Rose up to now? Does anyone know? Is he still here? Because I know
Probably not much. He's 89.
Is
Is
he
he
89?
89? No, he's
No,
like 80.
no. I was kidding. I'm kidding.
He's in his 80s. He's in his 80s.
He's in his 80s.
Yeah, that was good.
What-
I
how
think
much-
the show,
You know his wife's a porn star?
Really?
she
I
was
didn't know that.
in Playboy,
She was also a porn star.
and they're not married. I think they're still engaged.
Are
Yeah, I
they
think it might be common law by now. That episode was in 14, bro. So if they ain't married by common law, they are now.
That's
There's an
funny.
interesting situation because there's a sub build going on down in South Carolina. When you guys go to do the install down there, you go to unload the tank from the truck, and the top of the crate is missing. Some items are damaged. How common was that? You box it up, you send the tank out, and it arrives, and the top of the crate is missing. How common was that?
Yeah, it was common because sometimes we sent in an open trailer truck with no trailer. It was just an open flatbed. And then, if you're driving up 70, 80 miles an hour and you got winds blowing, crosswinds blowing 40, 50 miles an hour,
Yeah.
things would just blow around. I mean, it would just happen, and also bumps and shakes and rattles and,
And you're trying to get there fast because you're on a time limit too. So, like you're being a little less cautious, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like me or Agnes or anybody with driving. Most of them, our guys drove once in a while, but we would send it on a tractor trailer, and then sometimes it would that was just the things it would be insured though. The good thing is a lot of the time we insured every one of our packages, so if there's ever any damage, we would always get covered. It would take time, but we would always get covered.
JC, have you ever been to Riverfront Stadium?
No.
Yeah, me either.
No.
Really?
I remember the Big Red Machine back in the day. You know what I mean? I remember watching those guys, when I was a kid growing up, watching Pete Rose. And then it's a shame, though, that he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame.
I know.
Never say never. Yeah, I grew up in Philly. So
Right.
Pete Rose was on the Phillies for a while. So yeah, growing up as a kid, he was a big thing back in Philly. Brett,
Yeah,
you and your dad.
I got a jersey that he signed for me. He wrote "Hit King." What is it? 4,210 hits, something like that. And he wrote it on the jersey, signed it. It's hanging in my restaurant right now.
Who's your team? Who's your team, JC?
Well, football, we know it's America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Everything else is Phillies for baseball. Everything else I'm a Philadelphia sports guy.
So yeah, Billy's a Cubs.
And you're from Philly?
Yeah.
And you like Dallas?
Yep.
Wow. They must hate you in Philly.
It was a rough childhood, man. Grade school was tough. Grade school was tough.
Now I know why you have no kids.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna put him through that. Are you kidding me?
That's right. But Frankie, who's my friend from Philly, who's on the show, he was on the show. He's a big Philly guy. He loves the Eagles. He loves the Phillies. He loves, all Philadelphia teams. All. And, I'm a Cowboy fan, so we go at it left and right. And like I said, the Eagles got A.J. Brown tonight, and he was super pumped up. He was screaming, yes, at the restaurant, yes.
And so this was funny, JC. So we were all these guys, obviously, in the office are all sports fanatics, football, baseball, and they're all doing their fantasies, and that's all they would ever talk about is their sports teams and what's going on. And Wade was the only outsider who had no idea what any of them were talking about, right? Thomas was a huge Cubs fan too. Remember that? So, yeah, Ernesto is San Francisco football. Jeff is Dolphins. Every one of them had a team except Wade, who had no idea about sports, which was the funniest thing.
But he knew who Tom Brady was.
Of course he knew, because he likes his outfits. He likes his clothes. Who doesn't like Tom Brady? Really, seriously.
I want to give a Pete Rose story that people don't know, behind the scenes. I don't even know if Agnes knows this story. So the house that we put the aquarium in wasn't really Pete Rose's house.
It wasn't?
What?
No, it wasn't Pete Rose's house. So what happened is there was some kind of mix up. We were going to do it. They couldn't film somewhere in his house. Something happened. So they wound up using a friend of someone's house. I don't remember whose it was, right? So they put the aquarium in there, and they were going to move it back to Pete's house at another time, right?
Okay.
But they didn't want to play that in the story. They just wanted to say that was Pete's house. Okay. So we go to this house that none of us have ever been to, right? Pete's never been there. The production's never been there. They go there. We get in there. We put the aquarium in. We all go in the backyard to rest while the tank's getting worked on. And Pete goes to sit on one of the chairs in the backyard, and the legs collapse. And they bust, and he falls completely down through back on the floor, laying upside down like he was safe, right? And I think we might even said that. We pick him up. I'm like, oh, he's okay. But at the end of the day, dude, nobody knows we were at that house, and he sat on a chair and he busted his ass.
I didn't know that either. That's funny.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah,
so wait, the tank was the tank that ever moved out of that house into his house, or the tank just sat?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't remember. We didn't deal with any of the after stuff. Like production dealt with all that. They had other people go and move it. We brought it there. My guys went there, set it up, and then they hired maintenance companies outside of our company, in the state that we were in, to move aquariums, to take them, to do whatever they had to do with them. That was, the production company's job.
Plus, that aquarium sat outside, and you don't really want it sitting outside.
No, not really. I mean, we've done we've done some in and out. You got aquariums, public aquariums that we did windows in, that were outside, but you don't want your aquarium really to sit outside.
My last question about the episode is, so that whole South Carolina build, it's Heather and Wade taking care of the whole thing. Brett, why do you pop in at the end? They just want you down there for the reveal. Why do you show up at the last minute to kind of be a part of it?
If you remember, that build was it was a long build. It was a fiberglass aquarium, and it took a long time. So at the time that they were doing the install, when they went there to go and actually meet, when I couldn't be in the episode, that was, way longer. So the time had gone on and I was able to come because the time had elapsed and I was able to come. So they wanted me in the show whenever I could, even though I wasn't in the episode, there was a lot of time span between that. So I wound up coming later on and being part of the reveal.
Yeah.
I love how how you quickly tie up loose ends. Like, oh, your son's doing better. Yeah, I just made it down here, guys. And the same thing when you left your dad at Cashman Field. I need to get a taxi to get back to the shop. I love the quick little loose ends. They're tied up just like that.
There was a lot of times we would just fly. We would fly on the fly, like fish shopping or whatever. If we had to be at the airport at 4 a.m. and then back the same day and then back to work.
But what was really cool about the show sometimes at JC is like I would do my thing and then I'd be like, all right, hold on one more time. And then I'd go back and I'd say something else completely different. And I'd be like, all right, wait, one more.
Because
that's it. Then I'd go back and I'd do something else and I'd say something stupid or funny. Hey, bro, they'd use one of them,
Yeah. Multiple takes?
Brett,
yeah, I mean, I didn't have to, but I would do it just because I wanted to do like stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Because Brett at heart is a comedian. That's what he wants to do.
I really do. I will eventually. That'll be all. That's on my list of bucket lists.
Bucket list.
Bucket list. Look, Morgan Freeman didn't start until he was in his 50s. So
exactly. What's your bucket list, JC?
Well, man, we're doing it right now. Talking to you guys.
That's awesome. So I do have like bucket lists, like things that I do want to accomplish. A restaurant was one of them. And then I have this I told you, this interactive, aquarium maintenance training platform that I'm building that's going to launch hopefully in September. That's something I've always wanted to do, but real bucket list, comedian is one of them. I want to get up in front of an actual, I don't care if it's, it can't be 10 people. It's got to be like 1,000 plus, I got to feel that energy, and at least I know if I got 10 people in the room and all 10 are laughing, they could just be my friends or my family. Yeah. They'll probably just laugh anyway. If I get 1,000 and everyone's laughing, I know I'm doing good, right? And if I get 1,000 and I suck, at least I got to do my bucket list and it's over, right? At least got to try what you got to do. And then I want to travel a little bit more. I want to see the world a little more. Tank took me to some of the greatest places, Dubai, China, Germany. I've done a lot, but places that I want to see, right? Like I want to go to like Thailand. I want to go to like, Phuket. I want to go to, where else do I want to go? I want to go to Costa Rica.
Yes. Yeah.
I just want to do I want to go to London. I want to go to Italy. I've been to Greece. I've been to Athens. I've been to Santorini. I've been to Mexico, Acapulco, Cancun. I've been a lot of places, but there's still a lot that I haven't explored. So I'd like to at least get to every continent in my lifetime.
You can come to Poland with me.
That would be great.
My big bucket list at the end of everything, all of it.
What is
it? My big bucket list is to build a school for children, because when I came here, I was 6. And I want to build a school for children who can learn to be financially responsible for themselves. Teach kids about money. And
we need to teach kids how to do laundry.
No, teach kids how to be fiscally responsible for themselves.
Yeah, well, you make them do laundry and you give them $20 and then you just made them responsible.
No, but like a lot of times, remember when you're young, you got out of college and they gave you a credit card. What happened? You got in trouble with that credit card, right?
So absolutely.
Yeah, you got to start early. Teach them the real, what a FICO score is.
This is my son. I try to teach my son. I'll just make a joke and I'll teach my son. I'll say funny, right? So I say to dad, I go, Bryce, I need you to clean the dog crap outside, right? Nah, dad, I'm not going to do it. Son, I'm trying to teach you responsibility. How about this? $25 a week. And he goes, $25 a week. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. He goes, how about 50, Dad? I said, okay, you got a deal. He goes, Dad, now I'm teaching you how to negotiate.
He suckered you in.
That's right. But no, I get what you're saying. But you know what? I'm totally like game. You got to teach your kids responsibility. I don't think college is as much as it used to be. To come out of debt $250,000 to go to college and not really have a job that's going to enable you to, pay back that $250,000 to me is kind of rough. I would rather, take my son, because I went to college, had a great time, became a reality star and built aquariums, right? Nothing to do with my liberal arts degree, poli-sci, anthropology, philosophy, right? Well, philosophy a little bit, but at the end of the day, it didn't really do me anything. I mean, JC, you went to school for I'm assuming for your career, right? You didn't either. See, there you go. Look at that, right? And Agnes, you either, right? So at the end, except real estate.
Well, I went to UNR for optometry. I studied optometry, but at the end of the day, my life evolved where it's at. And for me, my dream is to have a school for kids to teach them how to be fiscally responsible. Yes.
There you go. That would be great.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
Yeah, responsibility is big, but at the end of the day, that's why we teach kids about aquariums when they're young, because it teaches responsibility. You get an aquarium, it's just like having a pet, like having a dog or a cat. You gotta, clean the water, you gotta feed the fish, you gotta, go out and buy things for it. It teaches responsibility. So you hear that, kids? Make sure you take care of your aquarium because it teaches you responsibility.
Yes, or anything else your parents tell you to do.
Yeah.
JC, I would think you would want to own your own farm.
Good. Ranch, more horses. Yeah. See, manifest it.
But do you have you have you have a stables and stuff? Because I see you a lot with horses.
Yeah, we lease out. My wife has 2 horses, and we lease the stable space. And
they're beautiful.
Thank you.
We got a bunch of places here, like in town, like from Boulder City all the way to Lone Mountain to all around. They got stables where you can lead your horses, and they basically babysit them for you. You take care of them, and you go there, you play with them. It's like going to visit them. You go visit them, you play with them for a while, and then you leave, and then they take care of them, they clean them, they do whatever.
What are their names?
Contact and Garcon.
Garcon.
All right.
Nice. All right, guys.
I gotta get up in 2 hours to do the radio show.
All right, thank you, JC. I know you're.
This was some great stories. That whole the fact that it wasn't Pete Rose's house was kind of that was a great story to you guys. That was awesome.
I didn't know he broke the chair either. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, that should do it. With episode number 19 in the books of Going Fishing with Brett Raymer from Tang. Thank you guys so much, and I would love that you guys are listening to the episode. Have a great day.
Love you guys. Good night.